Victor Rigoli back in the studio. It's the first part of May. April flew by. It's a blur. Wife and I spent a little time down on St. Simon's. Got my t-shirt on today. We had us a long weekend. We were excited to get away, get some sun and have some fun, get some good seafood while we were down there. But we're just working on a little painting here in the studio. Just a little quick update. This is a hole at Pebble Beach. It's the 5th green there, and so I've been working on it a little bit, trying to get a few little details worked in. You know, I got some trunks on the trees, and so I was working on that a little bit today, and then I've got some foliage to put in. I've got the picture up over here on my screen, and but yeah, working on some details over in here, trying to get the greens and everything set up, the green colors of the fairway, the rough, and the pattern in the green and what have you. So yeah, we're just kind of back in the groove, trying to get things ready for a show I've got coming up in July. Excited about that, down at St. Simon's Island at Hotel Simone. I'm gonna be down there. My work will be down there from the months of July through the end of September, so I'm real excited about that. So I've submitted a spreadsheet of a list of about 28 or 30 different paintings that I'm submitting into that show. Most of these are going to be kind of small works. But anyway, yeah, guys, I'm excited also that I've been really busy working on my podcast, Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. That kicked off back in April, and I've had 4 or 5 interviews already. Got 2 or 3 lined up here in the future, so real excited about that. So check out that YouTube channel, Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. Check us out on Facebook as well, out on Spotify. So anyway, yeah, so this here, I'm excited about this one. I love golf. I don't play very well anymore. I used to when I was younger. I need to get back in there or back out there and play some golf since I'm retired. What's my excuse, right? So maybe I need to get out of the studio a little bit, and especially like on the weekends, and take a break and get out there and swing the clubs a little bit. But anyway, hey, some of us, I guess you can say, if you can't play golf, you paint golf, right? So maybe that's it for me. But anyway, I really like this picture here, and I think it's going to turn out pretty good. But anyway, yeah, check back in later, guys, and hopefully you like the content. Leave me a comment below as if there's something you'd like for me to cover. I got some short videos out there. I've got some long stuff out there as well. You know, I'm really into also building my own stretcher bars and stretching my canvas and gessoing the canvas and that kind of thing. So I've got some videos out there on that. I've got some in the studio here. I built some 10 by 20s on gallery wrapped, you know, about 1.5 inches deep, and I've got those ready. I'm thinking about doing a series at Augusta National, 11, 12, and 13. Nice wide landscape of those, but I've also built some, and I've got them on a work area back over here. I built some 16 by 20 gallery wrap, and I've got those. I think I've got maybe 2 coats of gesso on those, so I'll probably put a couple more coats on them. But anyway, yeah, working on that. So I may do 16 by 20s on those. But anyway, yeah, I've got some other stuff going on. I've been working on some sailboats. Excuse me. I've been working on some sailboat paintings. So real excited about that. Some things that are a little different. And also I'm going to be working on maybe doing some studies on my style of painting, loosening up a little bit, loosening up those brush strokes, not to be so, maybe I won't say rigid, but just, you know, a lot of minute details and that kind of thing. I wouldn't say I'm photorealistic, and I wouldn't say that I'm very impressionistic. I'm more realism, you know, but I don't want to get to where it's just, you know, painstakingly, you know, a lot of details and taking the time of painting each individual blade of grass. We don't need to do that as an artist. So if you're new in painting, that's the thing, is to learn that you don't have to paint a lot of details. We recognize a tree when we see it. We don't need every leaf on the tree to know it's a tree, right? We don't need all the blades of grass in the foreground. I'm a landscape guy. I love to paint the coast of Georgia, Jekyll, St. Simons, Brunswick area. I'll do some South Carolina as well, but I love the marshes and sea oats and sand dunes and the ocean and things like that. And so I don't need to paint, and you don't need to paint every little blade of the Spartina, the black needle rush. You know, there's those grasses that are down there in the marsh. We can use shapes, and that's the key, is coming up with what those shapes are. We know that things in the distance, like on this particular painting here, there's some mountains in the background, some hills, there's a little bit of trees over here too. The further away they are, the less details we see, okay? And the color changes a little bit. You know, these are more of the blues and purples in the distance, even though that's not a purple mountain. It's, you know, it's not a blue mountain. It just looks that way when it's further away from us due to what's going on in the environment and the lighting and things of that nature, right? But as we get closer into our painting and into the foreground, things that are kind of furthest away at the horizon, kind of in the midway, are still not a lot of detail. It's shapes. Like here I've got the shape, the cliff coming down. There's green over here, okay, because this takes you around, and there's a sixth hole back over here, okay. Somewhere around in here is a sixth hole after you leave the fifth hole. But anyway, there's the landscape as it comes around and everything. There's shapes and colors, okay. There's cliffs down in here as well. There's the water that's off in the distance. The green is in the foreground, so I will put a little bit more detail as far as some texture, as far as the grass is. And here, these little, they're almost like a cypress type trees, shrubs here, different trees off in the distance, and a little bit of greenery there. But the further away it is, the less detail you'll see, and things are just kind of blurry and they blend in together. But as you come forward in your painting, you do want to have a little bit more detail, okay? And the rocks, the grasses, things of that nature. So, yeah, that's just something to keep in mind as you paint and everything, and trying to get good perspective of things, you know, get the atmospheric perspective of pushing things further away from you. And as you know, that as the further away you go, greens disappear, okay? Because I'm sure these mountains and these hills over here do have some green trees on them and things like that, but you can't see that. It's kind of like an optical illusion, to be honest. It's as it moves further away, and the clouds and the sky and just the atmosphere, it gives this blue look to it. And so that's why we use, you know, colors like that, because it puts it further recedes into the distance there. But anyway, stay tuned. Check back later. I'm going to be, hopefully I'll post something, an update on this painting, you know, kind of thing. But please like and subscribe to my channel. We're just trying to grow the channel and everything. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Get out there and do some painting. One of the things that I'll challenge you to do, and one of the things that I'm doing myself, is I'm trying to do, and I was doing pretty good before I went on vacation. So I'm back in the studio yesterday, kind of getting back into the routine of things. Sometimes it's hard to do, but I learned from another artist that I may have mentioned his book before, Ian Roberts, on composition. I highly recommend purchasing that book. You can get it out on Amazon. Anyway, he talks in there about working on composition and doing a composition a day. And that could just be, something you're going to paint. Maybe it's just something that you're out in your backyard, sitting on your patio, having your morning coffee or whatever, and you have your little sketch pad with you. And, I know some artists, they like to do small 1 inch, 1.5 inch square sketches or compositions. It's too small for me, okay? I do it a little bit bigger, and I think he even recommended it being, 2 inches by 3 inches or 3 by 3 or something like that. So I like it a little bit bigger. Not that I'm putting a whole lot of detail in there, because you are still trying to get shapes. But sometimes I have a lot that's going on in that painting. And so, I might have 5 or 6 different shapes, and I want to try to get those in. But that is helping me to get better at composing a painting before you actually start putting paint on the canvas. We all know that as an artist, and as you're starting out, one of the things you need to keep in mind is that come up with that process. I may have a video out there on the channel about that. If not, I'll look and see if I do, and if I don't have something, I'll try to put something together for you guys where you can see the process that I go through. In my podcast that I do, I've talked to some of the artists about that. What is your process? You can take a blank white canvas and start painting on it. And some people do that. And some people say, I can't paint on a blank white canvas. They will tone the canvas. They may tone it a blue-gray color, especially if they may be doing some portraits or something like that. Or, if it's going to be kind of a warm, the colors are going to be real warm and everything. You may want to tone it with an earthy color, maybe a transparent red oxide or burnt sienna. Maybe it's a mixture of yellow ochre and burnt sienna, or yellow ochre and burnt umber, or something like that. And you just tone it. You just get that color. Basically, you're getting rid of the white canvas. It also helps you to judge your colors a little bit better too, because sometimes it's difficult to judge your colors on that white canvas. So if you have it toned, it helps you to get a truer idea of what that color is and laying that paint down on your canvas. So I'd recommend doing that. But come up with that process, and like I said, I'll try to look out there and just see if I do have something about my process. One of the things that I did is I pulled from different artists and some of the things that they did, and I put together my own Word document. And if you're interested in that and you'd like a copy of that, there's no charge. It's about an 8 or 9 page document. And if you like a copy, leave your email in the comments, and I'll email it to you. It's just a Word document, and you can alter it however you want to. It kind of takes you from, what is it you're going to paint to actually, dividing the canvas up, maybe in the thirds, and finding out where your focal point should be, to maybe toning the canvas, what kind of surface you want, all the way up to, and my process is where I'm going to start first, and, starting with what's in the furthest away and moving forward and things like that. And I think it's very helpful. But if you're interested, leave a comment below, and leave your email address, or email me. My email is below. You can email me and say, hey, I'm interested in your painting process document. I'll email it to you. But anyway, thanks guys for tuning in today. Hopefully you're doing well. As I said earlier, back in the studio, I got me a pretty good suntan while I was down at the beach. Got some great seafood. I've kind of recharged the batteries and looking forward to getting a bunch more stuff done. But take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.